Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about a topic that is shaping the future, AI, the rise of AI and how it's transforming work as we know it. We've heard about AI agents, we've heard about automation, and things are moving very, very quickly. It's important to understand what's happening, what are the implications, and how to stay ahead. So in this video, we'll talk about what we're seeing in the market, what that actually means, and how are some ways to prepare. So let's get into it. First of all, AI isn't something that's way off in the distant future. In fact, it's already here today. It's already streamlining tasks like data analysis, customer support, or even content creation. GPT models and AI agents are being used for efficiency and to help with decision making. And this is happening across all types of industries from healthcare to marketing. But with these advancements, what they can do with routine, repetitive tasks have real implications. And I think it's important to talk about that. In my work in the past couple of years, I've been very close to generative AI in AI, being part of the conversation to understand what's happening, where is the market going, which companies are doing what, which products are being built, and how is it actually impacting different functions in different industries. And as much as I've been learning myself, I've been sharing that information with those around me, family and friends, and even my mentees. And I remember sharing some of my learnings with one of my mentees, and the response was, okay, yes, I'm hearing the conversation that's happening around it. I know it's out there, but I don't see exactly how it relates to my particular role or what it means to me. And I think that's a very common perspective. A lot of people have heard about AI at this point, but in their world, it's not translating to exactly what that means for them. Yes, there are some people who are really close to the technology. They're either building it, strategizing about it, figuring out what companies need to do, and have to stay informed. But there's a large portion of the population where they're not dealing with this day to day from their perspective. And so it's still new to them in terms of what it's going to mean and how it's going to impact their own lives. But when you hear that AI is going to be used in manufacturing, in retail, in administration, you really have to think about all of these different areas and ask yourself the question, what is that going to mean for me? If it's impacting all these different industries, all these different functions, what is that going to mean for my work and my role? And this can help you start understanding and making that connection of what it can mean for you. The first place to start is to understand strategically what's happening. So if you look at the market at large, what are people talking about? What are companies doing? What are folks in leadership commenting on in interviews? These are some of the places that can give you some indication as to what they're doing today and what they plan to do tomorrow. You can read news stories, you can listen to interviews, you can listen to podcasts to help gather that data for yourself. I think a lot of people think about strategy and think of it as something that is only for companies. But strategy is relevant for all of us. All of us need to be thinking about, okay, yes, this is happening in the economy. Yes, this is happening in the broader ecosystem. But in my life, how do I actually connect the dots? And what do I make that mean for me? And based on that information, what do I need to do? So as you see a lot of those different articles, you see what they're doing, you see what their plans are, that can help you inform what actions you need to take. How can you prepare? What skills do you need to learn? What do you need to be doing differently so that as things are shifting, you're also part of that process yourself. There are already a lot of examples of how companies are implementing AI within their organization, and we're also seeing some indication of how they plan to use it this year and in the coming years, particularly around the conversation with AI agents. So some companies have already expressed what their plans are, and this is some information that you can use to your advantage as well. So if you're in a role that they're speaking about where they plan to use AI agents, then you can start asking yourself, okay, what does that actually mean for me? What does that mean for my skills? Are there certain aspects of the role where I need to upskill or I need to train or I need to do things differently? Or maybe that means even considering something completely different. At the end of the day, there are options out there, but it's a matter of understanding what's going to happen with the best knowledge and information that you have today and making a decision for yourself to see how you can either mitigate some of those risks or be part of the plan. Another thing that's helpful to understand as well is any kind of research around that particular topic and what's happening. So the research may be conducted at a large scale, either companies doing the research or organizations doing the research. And in a lot of these instances, they're asking leaders and they're asking executives what their plans are in the coming years. They may even be interviewing workers themselves to understand what kind of changes they're seeing happening in their workplace or in the economy at large. And so that information, although it doesn't necessarily tell you exactly how things are going to play out in the future, it is directionally indicative of what can happen or what some of the intentions are and what companies and leaders plan to do in the coming years. Research can tell you things like where companies plan to invest money, where they plan to focus a lot of their effort, what kind of skill sets they're hiring for, any kind of plan and intentions around their strategy, including these days, especially their technology investments. That can be something that is also in the data that you can look at as well. Research can also be very specific to a particular industry or even a particular function. So depending on where you are today, what type of job you have, what type of skills you have, you can see where you fit in and use that information to help inform you. As an example, the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report for 2025 said that 92 million jobs will be displaced by 2030. They also said 170 million jobs will be created. So ultimately, you have a net of 78 million jobs that are going to be net new and created during that time. The question is, do you know which ones are going away that will be displaced? And do you know which ones will be new and what skill sets will be required? Based on that research, there's definitely a need for continued knowledge around technology, around AI, around generative AI, in addition to other skills that they mentioned are really important. Let's take a look at the findings from the Future of Jobs report for 2025 from the World Economic Forum. You can see here what some of the trends are that will most likely drive business transformation. So, a big portion of this is around AI and information processing technologies. So, anything related to big data, virtual reality, and so on. In this view, we see what the total growth and loss looks like in terms of jobs. The expectation here is that 170 million jobs will be created by 2030 and 92 million jobs will be displaced. So overall, they're showing here that there will be a net job creation to happen by 2030. Here you can see a comparison of the largest growing versus declining jobs by 2030. So at the top of the list in terms of what's growing are roles like farm workers, laborers, and other agricultural workers, light truck or delivery service drivers, software and application developers. And then in terms of what's declining, the top three are around cashiers and ticket clerks, administrative assistants and executive secretaries, and then building caretakers, cleaners, and housekeepers. It's also interesting to note that 39% of workers' core skills are expected to change by 2030. So, how are businesses planning to respond to this? Well, you can see here that 77% anticipate reskilling and upskilling the existing workforce, specifically to work better alongside AI. And then 69%, that's the plan to hire new people with skills to design AI tools and enhancements appropriate for the organization specific skills. And then at 62%, we can see that involves hiring new people with skills to better work alongside AI. So, what does this mean for businesses? This means that now, because of technology and how it's transforming everything, they will need to think differently about their business and even change their business models and how they operate. At the same time, that's also going to impact the type of skills that they're looking for. So, over half of those companies are planning to reorient their business to meet the needs of the new technology. 80% of them plan to upskill their employees with AI training, and 2/3 of them plan to hire employees with specific AI skills. So it's important to understand and know what these skills are that are needed. It's important to get upskilled or reskilled, but it's also important to know exactly what the specific skills are that are necessary. So what's happening today? Well, there are companies who are already using AI models and AI agents in some way within their organization. And you can see some of the news stories published around this online. Let's take a look at where companies are with their AI efforts. You can see this example where the CEO mentioned that they've stopped hiring thanks to AI, and they're already using the technology within their organizations and for different tasks and responsibilities. And here's this quote. The CEO says, "I am of the opinion that AI can already do all of the jobs that we as humans do." Here's another example of plans to automate coding jobs with AI. And the thinking here is that an AI can do the work of mid level engineers. So the plan is to start automating the work of those folks within the organization this year. In this example, you can see that the headline is about using AI to perform the tasks and responsibilities of software engineers. And the goal here is to boost productivity by 30%. I've also been having conversations with my cousin. She's in a different country. However, she told me that her employer communicated that they plan to have 3,000 jobs replaced in the next 3 years because of automation and because of AI. So in that case, workers are getting a heads up and they can plan accordingly and figure out exactly what that means for them. She's also told me that there are certain departments where they've already made a change which impacted in less roles. So a lot of these things are already happening. In a couple of recent YouTube videos, I also saw some creators talking about how their role and their job was impacted by AI. In one instance, it was a full-time employee who is a writer at a company. And in the other instance, the person was also a writer, but they were in a freelance role. And this person mentioned that they had a heads up because the company had previously mentioned, and I think they had even approached him about using AI as part of his process. But it was important to him to use his skill, use his talent as a writer, and not leverage AI to do the work. But fast forward to now, that role is no longer there because the company has chosen to use AI. And as he was reviewing their blog, for example, he was able to see, that they've been creating content at a much faster pace as it was being done before. So a lot of these companies are using these technologies as a way to improve efficiency, as a way to get the most out of the money that they're spending and reduce costs, even see an upswing in revenue. These models, these agents are able to do things very quickly. An AI agent, for example, once you train it on what to do, it can use that knowledge to then make decisions about what to do next. So it's a very efficient process once it is up and running. Now, is it to the point at this stage to where it's replacing the full capabilities that humans have? Absolutely not. There are certainly things that we as humans can do very well. We can relate to each other. We can be empathetic. We can be creative. And we have context of the life that we live and the things that we've experienced. And robots and machines don't bring the same thing. So there's a lot to cover on this topic, and especially understanding how we can prepare. Whether it's upskilling and reskilling, honing in on aspects of human strengths, even thinking about adaptability and versatility. This channel is all about versatility. I have done different things in my career in business and technology. I've pivoted, I've changed roles, I've learned new things. And that's part of the reason why I started this channel, is to be able to share some of that knowledge and even bring the different aspects and areas of things that I have done and I've experienced and share it with others. Even if at times it's a mix of different things, right? So it is technology, it's product management, it is career, it is running and fitness, it is traveling, it's all these different things. But the skills that we learn when we embrace challenges, when we learn new things, when we explore, at the end of the day, those are all things that then now sit in our toolbox, and we have the ability to use it as it makes sense, to use it in different circumstances, and to use it to differentiate ourselves. So I would love to be able to talk more about what this means and how we can all embrace this type of practice in our life. Because more and more, I do believe that this type of skill set is going to be really important, especially with all the different changes coming and living in a world and working in a world where we have AI agents. We will have to differentiate ourselves as humans, and it's going to be all about the things that make us uniquely humans and the things that the machines can't do in the same way. So let me know where you are with this topic. Is it something that's on your radar? Are you already preparing? Are you still trying to figure out what it all means for you? Have you not even explored this at all? I would love to hear. And if this is something that you would like me to speak more on, get into the specifics and the how to around it, the how to prepare, what to consider, how to think about your role. I would love to know. So drop a note in the comment. I can't wait to read them. And this will be really helpful for me to figure out what content to create next and which topics to focus on. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the time as always. And while you're here, watch another video and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.